Welcome to Obscure Echoes YT Horror Podcast. If you're into horror, scary stories, and real life encounters that leave a lasting chill, you're in the right place. Tonight's terrifying story was emailed to us by a subscriber who had experience that they'll never forget. And after hearing it, neither will you. It takes us inside one of the most infamous haunted locations in America, the Cecil Hotel. This isn't some made up tale. What you're about to hear is a first person account of a night filled with unexplained noises, chilling encounters, and something that should not have been there. If you ever doubted the paranormal, this story just might change your mind. So turn off the lights, put in your headphones, and get ready for another terrifying ride on Obscure Echoes YT, where we bring you true horror podcast stories that are as real as they are disturbing. Because sometimes the scariest stories are the ones that actually happen. Hi Obscure Echoes. I watched the video about the haunted tree. I never been there myself, but I did have an experience at the Cecil Hotel. I never believed in haunted places. Ghost stories were entertainment, something to pass the time on road trips or late night with friends. That changed the night that I checked into the Cecil Hotel. It was 2017. I was on a solo trip to LA, chasing a long postponed dream of photographing forgotten parts of the city. Skid Row was only a few blocks away from downtown's neon pulse. But the mood shifted faster the closer I got to the Cecil. This massive concrete frame loomed above the sidewalk like it didn't belong. Like time had forgotten it but left behind its weight. I knew the stories. Elsa Lam, Richard Ramirez, the suicides, the woman whose body was found days after she's been murdered in her room. But curiosity won out, and the room was dirt cheap. I checked in around 6:30 p.m. The lobby has been renovated, which was a generous way of saying it smelled more like bleach than blood now. Still, there was something off. The desk clerk didn't say much, just slid me the key card and mumbled something about the elevators being unreliable. Room 512, 5th floor. Here's the thing. Some rooms in the haunted place seem to be collective energy, dark energy. Room 512 has came up before in multiple forums, Reddit posts, even police reports. People talk about strange smells, sudden mood swings, and nightmares so real that they wake up screaming. When this subscriber mentioned this room specifically, I already knew we were in for something messed up. The elevator creaked like it needed last rites. I pressed 5 and waited. Nothing. After a few seconds, the light flickered and the door shut, jerking upward like the cable was hesitant to cooperate. The whole ride was awkwardly silent. Save one for faint sound I brushed off at first, like whispering. Just beyond the still walls, I stepped out into the hallway that felt colder than the lobby. Dim lighting, yellowed walls, a buzz from a flickering bulb. Halfway down the corridor, there was a smell, faint but old, like dust, mildew, something metallic. I found my room, opened the door, and immediately noticed the radiator was on full blast. It was sweltering inside. I turned the knob, but it wouldn't budge. I ended up cracking the window open just a little, letting the murmur of the streets below. The room was small, bare bones. A bed, a dresser, a lamp that barely lit up half the space, and a stained armchair near the corner. Nothing about it felt welcoming. I unpacked a few things and tried to relax. I told myself it was just an old hotel. All that paranormal stuff was exaggerated. I was wrong. Around 2:13 a.m., I woke up to the sound of running water. The bathroom faucet was on full blast. Classic paranormal sign. Water turning on by itself, it's more than just a creepy plumbing. Water is a conduct, right? It is said to carry energy, especially in haunted locations. And at the Cecil, running water is never just running water. I know I hadn't used it since brushing my teeth before bed. I got up, walked in, and turned it off. No big deal, I told myself. Just old pipes. Happens all the time in these places. But I stepped out of the bathroom. The lights flickered again. The lamp by the bed buzzed loudly, then popped. Out completely. Complete darkness. Then came in the whispering again. Not from inside of the wall this time. It was coming from the hallway. I froze. My skin went cold. A woman's voice. Soft, but insistent. Speaking too quickly to make out the words. I crept the door and pressed my ear against it. Just beyond it. Footsteps. Slow. Deliberate. They stopped. Right outside. I didn't breathe. Then, 3 soft knocks. Not loud, just gentle. Almost polite. Let me just say, gentle knocks are way more terrifying than loud ones. It's like whatever's on the other side doesn't need to bang on your door because it already knows you're listening. Or worse, it already knows you're afraid. But they were followed by something that made my stomach twist. A second set of knocks. Now this is the part where would have sent me straight through that window. I don't care if it's the 5th floor. Knocking from the inside, you either brought something in with you or it was already waiting. The knocks are coming from the inside of the room, behind me, near the armchair. I turned so fast I nearly tripped over my own feet. Nothing there, just shadows. The chair was empty, or at least it looked empty. I grabbed my phone to check the time and called the front desk. 2:21 a.m. No service. No Wi-Fi. I decided to leave. Screw the cost. I could sleep in my rental if I had to. But when I opened the door, the hallway was pitch black. Not dim. Black. Like the light's been swallowed whole. I leaned out to see if anybody else's door was cracked open. Nothing. Silence. I stepped back in and shut the door. The moment I clicked closed, the radiator shut off. And here's where things go really sideways. Ghost stories always have that moment where the energy shifts, where the atmosphere turns from creepy to hostile. The radiator shutting off like that, it's not a coincidence. There's the room telling you, you're not alone anymore. And the whispering returned, not from the hall, not from the chair. It was in the bathroom. I swear to you, I heard water running again, and at this time something else underneath it like a voice, gargling, choking, trying to speak. I grabbed my backpack and yanked the door open. Only, this time the hallway was fully lit again. Normal. Like nothing had happened. I rushed to the elevator. I wouldn't come. I took the stairs. Halfway down, I passed the 4th floor landing and saw a woman standing at the end of the corridor. This matches dozens of accounts tied to the Cecil. People's claim to see her dripping wet, barefoot, just staring. Some people say she's tied to one of the suicides. Others say she's the spirit of someone murdered and dumped in a tub. But one thing's consistent. She never speaks. She just watches. And if you see her, you'll never forget her face. Barefoot, wearing a soaked nightgown, her hair dripping wet. Her face was pale and swollen, like it's been under too long. She didn't move. She didn't blink. Just stood there, staring. I didn't stick around. I made it to the lobby, practically yelled at the clerk and told him I was leaving. He didn't even blink, just nodded and said, "You're not the first." That's probably the most unsettling line in this whole story. Not even surprised. No questions, just quiet confirmation. The staff knows. They've seen it before. Maybe even expect it. And if that's the case, how many people made it to the lobby to check out? Didn't even ask why. I left that night. Never went back. I thought maybe I imagined it all. That I was sleep deprived, paranoia, the power of suggestion. But a few weeks later, I looked up room 512 again. A woman had been found there in the 90s dead in a bathtub. Cause of death, drowning. Except the room had no functioning plumbing at the time. I want you to sit with that for a second. No working plumbing, no water, and yet someone drowned? If you're still trying to rationalize what happened in this story, this is where logic dies. Whatever is inside the Cecil, it doesn't follow rules. It doesn't need to. You can believe what you want. All I know is something's still in that hotel. This story stuck with me, not just because of the ghost of the whispers, but because it's not loud. It's not in your face. The fear builds quietly, like mold behind wallpaper. That's the kind of horror that lingers. And what gets me the most? That hallway, that knock, that silent stare. You don't forget that kind of thing. Maybe that's why the Cecil stays haunted, because people walk in with curiosity and leave with something else. If you made it through that, thank you for listening to Obscure Echoes YT Horror Podcast. This story was sent in by a brave subscriber who to this day won't stay in another hotel above the second floor. If you ever experience our own paranormal experience, creepy encounter, or something you just can't explain, send it to us at obscureechoes@gmail.com. We might just feature it next. Until then, keep your lights low, your eyes open, because not every horror story is fiction. And sometimes the things we hear in the dark, they're hearing us too.